guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's been a little minute since I just sat down and filmed a video for you guys, so that's what we're doing today as I do a little recap of my Amsterdam trip from a couple days ago, this past weekend. So let's get into it. So Thursday, we took the train from Florence to Pisa, and then from Pisa, we took a flight to Amsterdam. Flight was good, everything was great. We get there, we went to Pancake Bakery. I got this little pancake. It was super skinny, it was kind of like a crepe, I guess. But then I got that, I topped it with vanilla ice cream, which was so good. And yeah, so then after that, my roommate and I, we went to drop off our stuff at the hostel. The hostel was really nice. We had a good experience because it was a room with 2 other girls. We had a suite. That means we have our bathroom in our room. The bathroom was very spacious, got hot water, so can't really complain too much about this hostel. And then later that day, we went to the Canal cruise. We got the I Am Amsterdam card, so that basically means that we have free transportation along with a bunch of other free things that I took advantage of because it was like $103 for 4 days, and I was gonna make the $103 worth my while, and that's what I did. So we went on a canal cruise around like 6-ish, and it was about an hour long. We got to listen to an audio guide. There was like only 6 other guys in the cruise with us, so we didn't have to worry about like being around a lot of people. So we got to learn a little bit of history about Amsterdam and why things the way they are. We got to see some famous like spots that we were gonna go to later on. Then at night, we went to the red light district, and let me just say, I did not know what the red light district was about. Like, I was kind of clueless when it came to Amsterdam. I let my roommate kind of just plan whatever, and then when I got there, I was gonna make a plan for myself, and that's exactly what I did. And I don't really know too much about Amsterdam. So on our way to the red light district, I noticed some shops, and I was like, what are these things? Like, they're a little raunchy, if you know what I mean. And as we got closer to the red light district, we went at nighttime, and so I saw what the red light district was about, and I was like, oh. And I kind of like asked my roommate, I was like, so what exactly are we going to? And so he told me, and I was like, all right. So I just like walked the strip and then walked the strip back, and I was like, okay, I gotta go because this is not my scene. But yeah, so went in and went out. After that, after we saw the red light district or whatever, we didn't take a tour, which we should have, so I can learn like what the heck is going on here. But I had enough, so we went back home kind of early. We went back to our hostel, and I got the I Am Amsterdam card pamphlet, and I kind of looked through that, saw what was free, and planned my coming days accordingly. For Friday, I woke up at 9 a.m., left the hostel around like 10 a.m. Me and Edwin went to Ted's brunch, which we made a reservation, so there was no problems. And I got myself a, what was it? I think it was like a basic French toast or something like that, but it was basically just French toast with bananas and bacon on top. And then I got myself a hot chocolate. Very good, very inexpensive. And so yeah, that was breakfast. And then after that, we went to the Tulip Museum, which was free with the card. And that's basically just telling you the history of tulips. I ran through that and I was like, okay, it's just something to do until our next reservation, which was the Anne Frank house. And the Anne Frank house was very kind of like emotional. Like, I didn't get emotional, but I like felt sad during the tour. So we had our audio tour, and I remember kind of reading her book as a kid in school, but I didn't think too much of it like since then. And so when we were hearing what was going on and how they were in hiding and where they were hiding behind the bookshelves and what was going on during that time, I was like, dang, this is like really sad, like that they had to go through all this. And so kind of put a damper on my mood, but it was very interesting. That's one of the most important like aspects of going to Amsterdam, is going to see the Anne Frank house. So you couldn't take really any pictures in there, but we were climbing all the steep steps. There was a lot of people in there at the time, so we were literally just in a line going through the tour and listening to our different audio guides. After the Anne Frank house, we went to the garden. I don't even know how to say this. Is it Rijks Museum? I don't know, but we went to that museum spot. Took the tram, went to the garden first, and then we went to the museum. And that was cool, but like, I've been to so many museums here, kind of getting tired of museums in general. But yeah, we went. It was cool to say I went, saw some cool art pieces, and that was that. Then after that, we went to the Moco Museum. We went to this museum because in Barcelona we went to the Moco Museum, so just to see both of them. It was very cool, lots of cool art again. They also had an audio guide, but I started listening and then I stopped listening and I was like, okay, I don't need this. Then food hauling. We went there to get food. It's like this big old food market and there's a bunch of different things. There's Mexican, there's fried chicken spot that I went to. There's a bunch of different things that you can choose from. So we went there to eat. And then after, I went to the Bimhuis. And at the Bimhuis, you get a discounted jazz band, jazz concert, jazz show, I don't know, a jazz performance that I went to, and it was discounted with the I Am Amsterdam card. So I took advantage of that. And that that experience was an experience. So let me tell you, I was expecting, like, you know, just nice jazz, like, you know, doo-doo-doo-doo, like, you know, relaxing. I don't even have words, and I didn't do much recording of the jazz band or the performance in general. Like, I can't even speak about it. It was insane. It was very different. It was not anything I thought I was getting myself into, and I think a lot of people in the crowd were thinking the same thing because we were all looking at each other like, what did we come to? But it was different, to say the least. It was still good, I guess. I don't know, I didn't understand it. I can't even put it into words. It's like, I don't want to offend the art performance, you know what I mean? But I was just taken aback, and I just had to be like, okay, let's just thug it out. Let's just get through the rest of this performance and then be out. But yeah, I mean, there were some good parts, but other parts it just sounded like abuse of the instruments and pain, and it was like, I don't know, can't even explain it. It was a lot. I have like recordings of certain parts, and so after that, I went home. I went back to the hostel and I took a shower, went to sleep, and got ready for the next day. Okay, so the next day, this was my bike rental day. So this was Saturday. I woke up at 8 a.m. I left and went to the Dapper Market early in the morning. Like, they were still setting up when I went, but I just wanted to go just to see, and it didn't look like it was gonna be anything that I was interested in. So I just went, I walked by it, and that was that. Once I got to the area around where my bike rental was, I decided to eat before the bike rental because I probably wasn't gonna stop and eat anywhere later on that day. So I went to Madame Pancake, had some pancakes again, but this time they weren't like crepe thin, paper thin pancake things. They were thick pancakes. And that's what I like. So then I picked up my bike. I went to Yellow Bike and I rented the bike. I didn't want it for the full 24 hours. So that's why I kind of went there early. So this way I can bring it back later on when they close. I just didn't want to be responsible for it like overnight, you know. Don't want to owe them money. So I picked up my bike and I basically rode around for like, was it 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over, I thought it was 7 hours, over 8 hours. I was just biking around Amsterdam. This was my first time actually riding a bike on the street. At home, when I would ride my bike, it's just like on the trails. And so like, there's no one in the way, there's no cars coming, you know what I mean? This time was my first time ever, and it was a little scary. I mean, it wasn't because there's a bike lane, but it was scary at the fact that like, I was like, oh shoot, like if I cross the wrong way, I could get hit by a car. And they don't give you like helmets, but nobody wears helmets, but you know, safety first. But it was a very good experience. I loved it. Like, I felt so free. I can go wherever I wanted in like less time than traveling by foot, you know what I mean? I'll tell you one thing. I was trying to record. I can't like balance. Okay, I can't even get my words together. When I ride a bike, I'm always holding both of the handles, okay? I was trying to record, be all cute, take 0.5s, pictures, videos. No, I almost fell like a few times. And every time, like, I'm gonna put it in because it's a little embarrassing. Now, yeah, I'll put it in. But like, I start recording, right? And then I'm like, holding on to the thing, and you see me still recording, and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta stop the video. Yeah, so I couldn't really get some cute pictures and videos because I was just getting nervous that I kept almost falling off the bike while trying to be cute and take pictures. So like, don't do that, you know? But I always made sure I wasn't like in the street while I was doing that. But I feel like so impressed when people, you know, ride their bike and just sit on it, and they literally ride it like this. They're like, just pedaling. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, cause my balance, I could never. I went to a bunch of places. I went to another market. I went to a park just to sit down and journal. we were supposed to go to Arkham, so I met Edwin at Arkham, but it was closed, so we couldn't go. Then we went to the Waterloopin market, and then we went to the Albert, I don't even know how to say it, Albert Cup market. I don't know, but I got food there, and I parked my bike outside, and I, you know, tied the thing up. But I noticed that like people like in Amsterdam, first of all, it seems very safe. Second of all, it seems like a very trustworthy like neighborhood and environment, because people just pull up with their bikes, park it, don't even lock it. Like, they don't even care. That's nice, you know what I mean? Like me, because it was a rental, I was like, nah, I'm locking this up. I'm making sure nobody gets it. And I was kind of nervous because I didn't want it to get stolen or anything. But like, that was not the environment, and I was just like, this is really nice. Like, I would love to live in a place like this. So you just park your bike where all the locals park, and you can tell because there's like billions of bikes there. And I got some food, and then we went to, oh, I can't even say this, the oh my gosh, Stedelijk Museum. I don't know, another museum. Another one. I parked my bike somewhere else again, and we went inside. Like I said, I'm tired of museums, so I just basically ran through the whole thing, and then I rode my bike back to the bike shop so I could return it before they closed. I think some of the locals were like getting upset at me because I was not doing the turning signals and stuff. And then like certain parts in Amsterdam are like hills, so if you're stopping at a red light on a hill, like trying to get the bike up, like I was struggling to start just get myself going. So I would like trip, and then my wheel would go like this way, then I would like, it was just a mess, and I was just like, just pass me, like I'm a bit embarrassed. Okay, so then later on that day, as another I Am Amsterdam discount, they have the National Opera and Ballet. And so of course I had to go to a show, and I went earlier that day, like while I was riding around, and I tried to get a ticket because they said that you can only use the discount if you get like the ticket the day of the show. And I was like, okay. So I went, and they weren't open, and I was like, well, how am I supposed to get a ticket if you're not open? So then there was some guy there, and he was like, oh, they're not open today. And I was like, but there's a show today. And he's like, there's not open today. And I was like, okay, whatever. After I dropped off the bike, I was just gonna head to the opera, and I was like, hopefully there's a ticket there. But I didn't want to just be like, what if? So I looked it up. There was literally one ticket left, one, all the way in the back. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just get the student discount. Like, it's okay, it's just $4 that if I don't get the I Am Amsterdam discount. I was like, whatever, I really want to go to the show. So I purchased the only ticket left, and I was like, dang, it's gonna be kind of like bad seats, like all the way in the back. But the theater was great. Like, they were very good seats, and the show was amazing. Like, I just miss dancing. Like, they did so well, and all the costumes were really cool. The last dance was probably one of my favorites because they had this weird, not weird, but they had this like unique like light effect come down during the performance, and then like it was great. I wish I could take pictures and videos, but you know, I was just enjoying it. So then after the show, I went back to the hostel again, took a shower, you know, got ready for the next day. And the next day was the last day in Amsterdam. So for the next day, I woke up at 9 a.m. and I commuted to the zipline place. So this also was something that was part of the I Am Amsterdam card. You got to go ziplining in the Fun Forest for free for like 2 hours. I ended up staying almost like 2 hours and 30 minutes, almost 3 hours. And I got all bruised up. Like, I don't know if if you can see, but there's a bruise there, and there's a bruise right there. So I'm a bit bruised up and I was very sore, but it was very much worth it. And I was by myself, so I didn't bring my phone because I didn't want anything to happen to it. So I locked it up, and I left it with you know, the people at the front. So that means I didn't have any pictures, and I was like, dang, I kind of wanted like a picture. So there was people in front of me, like on the way when I was going through all these obstacles and zip lines, and I noticed that they had their cameras, and I was gonna ask them to take a picture of me. Maybe this is not the right one, this is not the right one. Like, I just felt like it wasn't the right person to ask, you know what I mean? So I was getting ready to leave, and I went on my last one, like last obstacle course plus zip line thing, and I noticed these people sitting with like a professional camera, and I was like, let me ask, that's a good picture. So I was like, hi. I was like yelling from the top, and I was like, could you take a picture of me? I was like, there's nobody here to take a picture of me. And so they took a picture of me, and then after the end I went back down to them and I was like, thank you so much, like, do you have Instagram? You can send it to me through that. And so they did, and so now I have a cute picture from that experience. So after like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours zip lining and getting bruised up and going through all these obstacles, I went to get a bite to eat, and then I went to the airport, and that was another thing. So my phone had ran out of data, and I didn't, well, now I know, but I didn't know that I can like refill it with my SIM card or like add more data to it. So I wasn't lost because I had planned my route, because I knew my phone was gonna like mess up and have no data. So I knew how to get there. However, the routes that I had planned and looked up the night before and the day of when I got Wi-Fi at the restaurant, they just weren't working. The night before, when I looked up routes, it said take this train and it gets you straight to the airport. And I was like, easy enough. Then when I got like food that day, right before I was about to leave and take the route, they said there was a bus, and I was like, okay, I'll just take the bus. So I went to the bus stop. One of the buses that I was supposed to take, I went to, it came, you know, it came. And I went up to the guy, and I was like, noticing my card wasn't working, and I was like, can I not use this card? And he was like, yeah, this bus doesn't take that card. And I was like, okay. So I waited for the next bus. He was like, go, you can go on the next bus and they'll take your card. So I wait for that bus. The bus gets canceled. I was like, oh my gosh, whatever. I'm like, I still got like 2 hours to get to the airport, like, or I think it was 3 hours at the time. And I was like, it's fine. So I waited for the next bus. That bus completely passed by us. On the sign it said, sorry, we're full. So then everybody who was waiting for that same bus was like getting fed up. And I was like, okay, now I'm getting annoyed. So I was like, looked at the people that were standing there, and I started walking, and I ran into this girl, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I use your phone? Like, I don't have data right now. I would like to just check to see the next route to the airport. And she was like, oh, I'm going to the airport too. And I was like, okay, bet. And so she started walking with me, and we started going on the train. She's like, I think we have to take this train. I was like, okay. So we get on the train. The train route can either go this way, like back to the city center or whatever, or this way to the airport. The train went that way, and I was like, I was looking over at her, and I was like, at the next stop, I was like, so are we gonna get off here? And she's like, no, I got us on the wrong train. And I was like, I kind of knew that. But I was like, okay. And she's like, but we can get off the next one and then take the train back and then go on another train. I was like, fine. So we do that. We get off the next one. We try and get on the train to go back. We have to buzz out and buzz back in. I can't buzz in the next one, and I'm just like, what the heck? And she's just going, and I was like, she just left me here. So then she looks, after she gets to the top, she looks and she's like, what happened? And I'm like, my thing don't work. And she's like, and I'm like, just go. So I buzz back into the other one that does work, and I go back up, and I look at the sign, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go back and do the route that I planned last night. And so that's what I did. I went back all the way from wherever I was back to the Zood or whatever that station is, and then from there I took the train back to the airport. And that also was like a whole thing. I mean, I should have did that earlier, but you know, I was trying to do different routes. That's it. Again, my thing wasn't working. Once I got to the station I was supposed to get to go to the airport, the little key card wasn't working, and I was like, yo, what's good with this? Like, does it not work for just this one? And I think it's because it was inner city that my I Am Amsterdam card wasn't working. And I was like, So I just used my actual like credit card and I just tapped it and I went in. But during that experience, I ran into other people and they're like, we're trying to get to the airport. And I was like, me too, I think we gotta go this way. They were like, oh, we need a ticket. And then they left and I was like, I'm just gonna use my card and see what happens. And when it worked, I was looking for them and I was like, guys, come this way. But then they weren't coming and I was trying to help them and I didn't want to leave them there. So I'm over here waiting for them. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss this train. Like, I can't miss this train. So I was like, okay, if 2 minutes go by and they still don't come, I'm just going. Like, I tried to help. They eventually came back and they're like, oh, we got our tickets. We were able to go through. I was like, you could just tap your credit card. I was trying to look for you so I could tell you that. And they were like, oh, it's no problem. It's okay. Thank you. But that's good to know for future. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And we both got on the train and we finally got to the airport. I went through airport security. Everything was super quick. All I had was a backpack, so I didn't have to do too much. The good thing about all this though is that even though it took me an hour to get to the airport when it should have only taken me, no, it almost took me 90 minutes to get to the airport, but it should have taken me like 30 minutes. Anyways, the plane was delayed by like 30 minutes. So I still got there and I was still waiting for like almost an hour or so. Not having data was not fun. I figured it out eventually. When I got back home though, I went to the Vodafone store and I was like, okay, this cannot happen again. Like, I'm going on another trip and I do not want to be lost, even though I wasn't lost, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure my stuff works. That's what I'm paying for. And she was like, oh my god, like you're supposed to do this. And I was like, well, I didn't know, but like now I know. It wasn't that bad. Like, I was chilling. I was just like, dang, this is kind of an inconvenience, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so that was my Amsterdam experience. Very fun. I took advantage of all the stuff that I could with the I Am Amsterdam card and was very much well worth it. I recommend going on a canal cruise. I recommend taking a bike for the day. I recommend going to all the shows you can at night. Anyways, my camera is dying, so I will see you in the next one. Subscribe, like, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.